Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. Sorry if I sound a bit awkward, it's been a while. Been a while since I sat down and filmed anything other than vlogs. So I'm just gonna give you my wrap up for the month of August. I know I'm a bit late, but I think I've mentioned this a number of times now. I've started a new job and it's just a lot more on the brain than I expected it to be, so you'll just bear with. So, the month of August, I actually read 18 books, which, I'm going to be honest, a lot of that was actually manga, which is reflected in the amount of pages that I read, which was 4,481. I think, I've written them all down. So, page count wise, it's not my best, and you'll see from the wrap up that the reason why. Obviously because a lot of what I read was manga, a lot of it was physical. I only read books like 26 hours of audio last month. So ratings wise, there was 1 2.5 stars, 2 3 stars, 1 3.5, 1 4, 3 4.5 and 10 5 stars. And when I show you what I've read, that will all make sense as well. I had noticed that because I'm very much a person that goes on vibes and like the initial feelings rather than sitting with the books, I had noticed near the beginning of the year I was giving a lot of books 5 stars, where in hindsight probably weren't 5 stars. Classic example is the Shadowhunters. Like, I loved the show. I know some people didn't, a lot of people didn't, but when I was reading the books I was just imagining the characters from the show, and it made me feel like maybe it was better than what it was. And yeah, since reading the rest of the series I realised that maybe those books weren't 5 stars. So yeah, I'm trying to sit with books a bit more after reading them before rating them. So you might not see less 5 stars from it, but I don't just want to be giving them out willy-nilly, because I just think it's ridiculous. And I know that with getting 5 stars reads is what we're supposed to be doing, but yeah, I feel like in hindsight they weren't 5 stars. So on to my reading. I'm just checking my stats to see. A lot of what I read was young adult because it was manga. I read 3 adult and the rest were YA. I've not read any middle grade for a while. The majority was fantasy. I read 1 what I would class as science fiction, and 1 dark academia and 1 romance. So we're just going to jump in to the books. I've just got them in a pile. There's no purely audio for me this month. So first up is the romance, and this was one of the ones that was 5 stars. India Halton, at the moment, based on what I've read, all her books have been 5 stars, and she is an auto-romance author for me. I was very sceptical going into this when Meg recommended it, just because it has like a Regency feel to it, and although it has some fantasy elements in it, like the witches in this, there are pirates that are flying houses instead of ships, things like that, that I would still have enjoyed this had those elements not been in it, which definitely speaks to the fact that maybe I have possibly written off Regency when I shouldn't have done, especially if it's written in the way that this is. So the banter between the characters is just great. The storytelling, the narration of this is brilliant. If I remember the name, if I can find the name, I'll put it down here. I have all these on audio as well so far, and I found myself like laughing out loud at this. There was some sad bits, some sort of, you know, bumps in the road. In general, this was just a very fun time. There was some smutty scenes in this. They were unexpectedly good. Again, I really shouldn't discount certain books because they say, oh, that's historical, oh, that's Regency, or whatever, because this is just a prime example of the fact that, yes, it's like a Regency romance, it does have fantasy elements in it, but it is so funny, and it's another Meg rec. Meg has not let me down. No pressure, Meg, I'm sorry. But Meg has not let me down with any recommendations that she's given me so far. Next I read Throne of Glass, which is for the Mass Along that's hosted by Ashley from Ashley's Bookish Life and Tori from Scottish Lass Reads. And I rated this 5 stars. There were so many things in this that I totally forgot from the first time round. I have got a spoilery vlog somewhere. I will link it. And I'm shooketh at how much I just totally zoned out on with this. And I think that my reading has got a lot better in the fact that I'm not trying to speed through books just for the sake of speeding through them to fit a prompt, or to you know, I'm not reading too hard on myself if I don't fit all the prompts and readathons and things like that. I think when I first read this, I was trying to speed through it because like, oh, it's YA, it's short, I can get it in for a prompt for a readathon somewhere, and I missed so many of the little bits that I feel will be like relevant later on. And just going back to the relationships with Chaol. I'm a Chaol girly. I don't know if I should be. I'm not all for Dorian right now. Is that his name even? Is it Dorian? I want to say it's Dorian, but yeah, I'm all for Chaol right now. And should that change? Possibly. We all know what Sarah J. Maas likes to do with the characters. Akatar, for example. God, she broke my heart. Anyway, moving on to the next one. This was The Look of the King by Tom Dumbrell. And I need to check my rating for this one, because I'm not 100% sure. I think this was 3.5. So I rated this 3.5. Now I know people think a 3.5 is not good. I've rounded up on 4 on Goodreads because I did. There were just certain things in this. I have done a live show with Charles from Not Sick of Bookaholic. I will link that in the cards or in the description. There was just some things about this that I was missing, some of the character development a little bit. And, you know, again, I will link the spoilery chat around. It is still a very, very good book, and I'm really excited to carry on with book 2 in the Pillars of Peace series. I do still recommend this book. There were just some things that were missing for me. I was surprised as well how much I liked this, because there's no magic in this. Like, it's not sort of like wizards and all that kind of stuff. And I was pleasantly surprised at how much I still really enjoyed this. Next we have at 4.5. This was Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I did really enjoy this. This is the first Leigh Bardugo that I've not rated 5. But I still really enjoyed it. I liked the character development. I liked the world that it built and like the mystery, and I can't really say too much because it would spoil things, but I liked the way it left it as to what's going to happen going forward. I don't know if we're supposed to 100% like the main character. Alex is just a very complex character. She's been through a lot, and there's just things going on. I don't want to spoil anything for you because I really do think that you should read this. Other than Babel, this is the only Dark Academia book I've read, and I have really enjoyed it, and I am going to be looking for some more Dark Academia style books. Probably going to be my favourite new genre, but I do like the sort of darker side of the world. And, you know, trigger warnings, check the trigger warnings for this as well, because I didn't check trigger warnings before I went into this, and something just came straight out of left field that I didn't expect. So trigger warnings, check. I lied to you, this wasn't the only romance I read. I actually read League of Gentlemen Witches, which is book 2 in the series, like companion series for India Halton. I read this before I read The Secret Society of Tea and Treason. Treason? I think that's what it's called. I read this before I read book 3, obviously. But once again, banter, great, vibes, impeccable, characters, brilliant. If you just want a short, fun read that just lets you delve into a world that's just frolicking and just witty banter and, you know, just casually trying to assassinate your friends, is brilliant. It is. I can't really say much more than that. Pick up the series. It's great. Now the rest of what I read was manga. So we're just gonna quickly go through this. So Promised Neverland, great. This follows a group of orphans in an orphanage. That's all I'm gonna say, because Even in volume 1, it took a turn that I didn't expect, so I don't want to ruin it for anyone. These were all read as part of my manga taste test vlog, and I was deciding whether or not to keep them or just continue with the anime instead when I was going through these volumes of that, when I was going through each of the first volumes of the series that I had. So yeah, spoiler, I kept a lot. So the next one is Demon Slayer. I love Nezuko, I love Tanjiro, I just love the whole gang. Inosuke he needs help, but we don't see Inosuke in this one, but we do meet Nezuko and Tanjiro, and basically the whole premise of this is that Tanjiro's home was attacked by demons and his sister's been turned into a demon and he's trying to find a cure for her. So much more happens than that, and there's an epic journey. Character growth in this series is amazing. I have seen the anime, but I will be continuing with the manga as well, because a lot of the times with the manga and the anime, they do sort of split off sometimes. And also, I have noticed with a couple of these series that are a bit longer, sometimes the anime episodes, there's a lot of filler in them, so then I'd rather just continue with the manga instead. So that's kind of happened with One Piece, is that a lot of the anime episodes are just filler, and there's like 5 episodes to 1 volume, and it just gets it gets a lot. So yeah, I will be continuing with this manga too. Next up we have Chainsaw Man. This is gory. I can understand, this is very much a gem wreck. This is a gem book. Right off from the offset, we meet Denji, who is living in just poverty. He's living from check to check. He's like a demon slayer, monster hunter for hire, but he does that because he's trying to pay off his dad's debt, because his dad died leaving millions of yen of debt behind that his son now has to clear. But it means, and then he finds his demon dog called Pashita, and it's cute but also very distressing at times, and like I said, from the offset is quite gory. Obviously by the name of it you expect it to be, but it did get into the chainsawing very quickly, and I'm not mad about it. Also, there's a character in this called Power. Wow. And then we had Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 0. This is the standalone that was set prior to the series. This is like been made into a film, and then from manga 1 onwards is like the series. But this was just amazing. I loved going back to meet Yuta and Rika, and we can meet Gojo and Geto when they are younger. You see the origins of friendships and things, and how things go down later on in the series, which I'm really glad I did, because the series starts when there's certain things that have happened and we don't know, you know, why it's happened, how it's happened, and this clears it up for you, very much so. I highly recommend, if you're going to go into the Jujutsu Kaisen series, that you do possibly watch series 1 first and then go back and watch the film of this before going to season 2, otherwise nothing will make sense. Okay, next up we have Dead Man Wonderland. 100% going with this. This is about a boy who was falsely accused of murder, and he's been taken to this place called Dead Man Wonderland, and it's kind of like an attraction. The people that go and see this attraction don't realise that these people are actually in prison, and you know, for real in prison. The main character has been falsely accused of murder, and it's him trying to figure out what the hell happened, why he can't remember the incident in which he's been accused of murdering people. He can remember parts of it, but then something happened which I don't want to ruin because, you know, spoilers. But it's so good, and I really want to continue with the series. Volume 2 is so hard to get hold of though. I did get Volume 2 for Becca from Travelling Man, but then they went out of stock very quickly, so I'm waiting for it to come back into stock for Travelling Man, because that's the only place I can seem to find it where it's not a used copy. But highly recommend. Again, gets right to the action very quickly, but again, not mad about it. 5 stars. All these 5 stars. Next we have Tokyo Ghoul Volume 1, another one that gets straight into the action, like no messing about. And this follows a boy who was a person, but then something happened, and you can probably tell from the front of the book. But this is in a world where people live in a world where there's ghouls, and as you can probably tell by the nature of a ghoul, it's not good. So I really am gutted that I didn't get more of these volumes in preparation for reading this, because I had a feeling I was going to love it, and I do, and I want to watch the anime, but I want to, with this particular series, I want to read the manga first and then go watch the anime. Other things that I read are Orange. I read Letter 1 in Orange because it's a complete collection and I don't know where volumes start and finish, and that was my equivalent of reading the first volume. That was very much not what I expected. Not what I expected at all. I thought there was like a, I just finished watching Horimiya, which is like a contemporary type anime where they following kids through school, falling in love, yada yada yada. I thought Orange was very much like that. It's very much not. It's more of a kind of sci-fi-y type situation, and I'm loving it, and I want to continue with that. I did also read One Punch Man. Unfortunately, it wasn't for me. I won't be continuing with the manga, but I will be continuing with the anime because I really enjoyed the anime. Record of Ragnarok, Volume 1, I read that as well. That is getting on hold because, again, I can watch the anime and it's just not something I think I want to spend the money on physically as well. I don't think I need to. I would prefer to just watch it on television. Another one that I haven't kept is The Agent Mega's Bride, and I'm going to put a spoiler one up here because I think people need to know. So, for me, Agent Mega's Bride, I didn't like the age gap situation. So if you know me, I will read ACTA, you know, Fae with, you know, people that are like Fae that are 100 years old, like people that are like 19, 20, whatever. But this mage buys a young girl who's 15, and he buys her as an apprentice at first. But then when he takes her in, there was a situation with him bathing her, which was a bit weird. But then also, he then mentions her being his bride at some point, and that just doesn't sit right with me. The fact that, I mean, the fact that she's underage anyway, that was not great. But the fact that he bought her as well, it just doesn't sit right with me. I was interested in watching the anime, and I don't know if she's been aged up in the anime. I need to find out. But if she hasn't, I don't think I would continue with the anime with that either. As bad as I feel for doing that, like, it just, I think I would have enjoyed it, but I just can't get my head around the fact that he bought a 15-year-old girl as an apprentice and then just decided without, like, just, he was going to marry her, and he's like a 100-year-old mage with a skeleton face. It's just very weird. I then read Attack on Titan Volume 1. Yes, I've also watched most of the anime, but I wanted to read the volumes of manga as well, and I loved it, and I'm continuing with that, obviously. And then, is there any more that I read? No, that is everything. Oh no, I did read one audibly. I'm lying to you right now. I was supposed to read it physically, but then I ended up reading it audibly, and that was A Lat's Away. And we're just gonna pretend that doesn't. We did not have a good time. That was a podcast book, and myself, Tora, and Jem read that for Barely Adulting podcast, and I gave it 2.5, and I'm just mad because I was so excited about going into that. It was about, like, it was pitched as this girl was gonna learn about like Apache culture, and it was just this like murder mystery type of thing, and it just was poorly executed. We've got a very little Apache culture. We start getting talk of Greeks and then Icarus, and you know, I just, it was a case that we have vampires turning up, and I don't mind vampires and werewolves and all witches and all that lot in a book, but it felt very much like they were like, these is what's trending at the moment, we're gonna throw this in a book, and then just throw in a little bit of Apache culture, when really she could have really just gone in with the one sort of idea rather than trying to meld in like, oh, vampires are in right now and yada yada. You know what I mean? Anyway, sorry to end on a negative. For the most part, I loved what I read in August. So, that's me done for the month. If you do like me and you want to see more of me, please like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. If you're here and you want to let me know you're here but you don't have anything to say, please leave a black hat. That's very much appreciated. Until next time, enjoy whatever you're reading, doing or watching, and I will see you all very soon. Tori from the Scottish... Tori from the Scottish... Ashley from Ashley's Book of Life. Is it? Yeah, Ashley from Ashley's Book... Oh my word, why is my phone breaking on me? Look of the King, did I note this down? So I highly recommend that if you're going to go into the Jiu-Jitsu... If you're here and you want to let me know here, but don't have anything...